morning, Mountain Time Zone and Pacific Time Zone. We're being broadcast all over the world. Did you know that? We are on the internet. So good morning to you, and good afternoon to Central Time Zone and Eastern Time Zone. I usually talk to a lot of women's issues, or with a lot of women's issues, and I speak to a lot of speakers or women's conferences. So I want to thank Lisi for setting up the perfect setting. I'm speaking on the issue, or speaking to PMS today. Pierre, Martin, and Sioux Falls. Wave to that camera. Say hi, Pierre, Martin, and Sioux Falls. One of my J mentors, John C. Maxwell, is a pastor, speaker, leadership guru, and author. And he once told a story about speaking with his father, who was also a pastor. He told his father, "You have an amazing positive outlook on life. How do you keep that, or have you always been that way?" And his father said, "No, my natural bent is toward negativity, cynicism." He says, "I had to develop that." John said to his father, "Wow, with age comes wisdom." And his father said, "No, it's developed. Sometimes age comes alone." Wisdom is a choice, and you've made the best choice to spend your time here today. I want to tell you to turn to your neighbor and say, "Today is going to be a great day." Now say it like you mean it. Today is going to be a great day. Why? Tell me, why is it going to be a great day? I have candy, I heard. What else? We're vertical. We're moving. We're this side of the grass. That's what I like to say. Awesome. Well, in my book, I combined Benjamin Franklin's 13 virtues with Dakota Prairie stories. I was telling somebody the other day, my mother beat the head of a skunk with her Stanley broom. That's in my book. We dealt with a snake in the toilet. There's lots of fun things that happen on the Dakota prairies, aren't there? So why character? People will ask me, why character? Why virtues? Why did you focus on those things? They're old-fashioned. Well, do we got film here, or do we have? We don't have my slides going. Technical assistance. We got people running. There's some problems with society today. And I might have to skip this part. That's okay. We've got the younger generation staring at their phones, and we've got the older generations reading their newspapers. Another one is, oh, you have a problem with someone? I'm sure Facebook would love to hear about it. We've got a little social media drama going on, right? And another problem, this is a picture. I'll just walk through the pictures. This is a picture of Captain Jack Sparrow. You can picture the picture. He says, "Roses are red, rum is good. Poems are hard, rum is good." They're funny as we read the memes, but they are serious character flaws. Benjamin Franklin traveled from London back to Philadelphia. Back in that day, that trip took 11 weeks. He traveled with a friend who was a wise Quaker friend. He had time to think. Ben was about 20 years old. And when he sat down, he wanted to write character traits, virtues, that he wanted to improve upon as he grew older. He wrote down 12 virtues. He presented them to his Quaker friend, and his wise Quaker friend looked at them and said, "Ben, these are great, but you're missing one. And the one that starts with an H, as soon as we get video back, is humility." Ben said, "Oh, that's a great one." He wrote down humility, gave it a quick definition because he gave every other one a long definition. And he added it to his 12, and that's where he got 13 virtues. These are our basics, our building blocks. They're our foundation. Because without character, we don't hold our promotions. We see that in high-level sports. We see it in Hollywood. Where there's no character, the promotion fails. Now, I promise you before you leave today, you will have 3 of these keys, 3 of these virtues to help build and develop your character, which leads to wisdom. And they are in an acronym, CAP. So if you're taking notes, CAP. We don't have all time for all 13 today, but we're going to do 3. The rest you can get my book. That's available at my table. If you're ready, say ready. The first key in building character and wisdom is courage. C stands for courage, building courage. You've probably had this happen to you. They weren't in my pockets, 3 levels deep. They weren't in my purse. They weren't in my other bag. Suddenly, I realized I must have left them in the car. Frantically, I headed for the parking lot. My husband has scolded me many times for leaving my keys in the car's ignition. He has said, you might get the car stolen. And as I looked around the parking lot, I realized he was right. The parking lot was empty. Then I made the most difficult call of all to my husband. I left the keys in the parking lot, and it's been stolen. There was a moment of silence. I thought I lost the call. Then I heard his voice, "Are you kidding me? I dropped you off." Now we joke about it and we tease about it, and there's some seriousness. But growing old doesn't have to be challenging, but you do have to have courage to call your husband on that cell phone. We make fun of senior moments, the memory, the eyesight, the body functions. I'm going to show you some ideas in key number 3 that will tell you that it's not age where we lose our memory, it's something else. Benjamin Franklin's virtue, sincerity. I focus on the last few words of this. Use no hurtful deceit, think innocently and justly, and if you speak, speak accordingly. We're going to focus on that through all the next keys, but we've got to speak accordingly. To develop courage, there's 3 things. There could be a million things, but I've chosen 3 to keep it simple today. You have to have a dream. We've got to stop comparing ourselves. And we've got to get back on our place. There we go. And face fear. Thank you. How many of you have worked in your profession or are working in your profession that you dreamed of as a child? I hear crickets. Oh, I see 1 hand, 2 hands. Awesome. You are part of the elite group, and the rest of us are looking at you going, I want to be what they are when they grow up. We don't have to choose or have to make up our mind what we want. But if there's a dream that you have deep down inside of you that you had as a child, as a teen, as a younger adult, if you're younger now and you've got a dream inside of you, I want you to keep on chasing that. Bring it back up. We've got to become as a child, not as the immature, whiny child, but we've got to bring that imagination forward again. And then, of course, we've got to take actions toward that dream, if they're little tiny actions. I heard a great phrase back in my sales days, God can't bless a parked car. We've got to take action towards that. And then we've got to have that vision. King Solomon said, where there is no vision, the people perish. I don't want you to perish. I want you to have a vision. There's something deep down inside of you. Is there something that you want to have, do, be, or become? If money and time were no option or were no issue, what do you want to have, do, be, or become? At all ages, we still have a dream. There's something that we can be working towards. Hanel wrote in the Master Key System in 1912, over 100 years ago, he said, the thing visualized will manifest itself in form. And that's so true today. The second thing in building courage is we've got to stop comparing ourselves. And we're never too old for anything. We're never too young for anything. Here's some stories that you might be familiar with. Peter Mark Roget retired as a medical doctor at age 61, and he battled bouts of depression. Throughout his depression, he started making lists cataloging words by meaning. I could think of more creative hobbies, but hey, whatever it takes. At age 69, he prepared for his first publication, and at age 73, the first edition of Roget's Thesaurus of English Words and Phrases was published. And he continued to add to that until he was age 90. Wally Bloom, in his mid-50s, started Denali Flavors. You know, Moose Tracks, one of our favorite flavors. And he continues to operate the company at age 70. Samuel L. Jackson, a little bit well-known person, started acting at age 24. But when did we see him hit the scene? At age 43 in Jungle Fever, but even more of a big hit was his Pulp Fiction at age 46, while he continued to battle his recovery from cocaine and heroin. Leo Goodwin started Geico at age 50. Gladys Burrell, you probably don't know her name, but Gladys ran her first marathon at age 86, and she ran the Honolulu Marathon at age 92. A marathon usually takes 3 to 4 hours to finish on an average runner. She took 9 hours and 53 minutes. Imagine taking the bulk of an entire day, almost 10 hours, to run. But she finished. Now, what did they have all in common, aside from they started later in life? They started. And they finished. Or they're finishing strong. Another area is social media is how we can stop comparing ourselves. We usually compare our worst day with someone else's best day or made-up day. And I'm going to give you a challenge to start managing your mentors or managing the manure better in your life. If you are heavy in social media, sometimes it will get us down. I'm going to ask you a lot of tough questions at the end of every point, and I may give you a challenge. Whether you take it or not is totally up to you. I encourage you to tweak a little bit of your habits each and every day. Your challenge at this point, today is Saturday. I want to encourage you or challenge you to take a fast from media for the next 24 hours. That means phones, electronics, news, radio, everything. If you do take that challenge, whether it be now or next week, I want you to message me somehow. I've got all my contact information on the table. For those of you listening remotely, deannabeckett.com is an easy way to get a hold of me. And I want you to tell me what challenge you have challenged yourself with, and then after your challenge, what eye-opening experiences you have encountered by taking that challenge. Then the third point to developing courage is facing fear. Paul wrote to Timothy, "We were given a spirit not of fear, but of power, love, and self-control." Fear is learned. And sometimes it becomes a wall in our life. And we've got to walk or push through that wall of fear. Hanel said in his Master Keys, and you know it's important if I wrote it on a hot pink card, right? Hanel said, "When a thought of anger, jealousy, fear, or worry creeps in, start an affirmation. The way to fight darkness is with light. The way to fight cold is with heat. The way to overcome evils is with good. Affirm the good, and the bad will vanish. Feel the fear and do it anyway." I want you to say with me, "I am courageous, kind, and confident." Now say it like you mean it. I am courageous, kind, and confident. Didn't your spirit just lift by saying those 3 words? Easy 3 words: courageous, kind, confident. If I didn't feel the fear and do it anyway, you wouldn't be seeing me up on this stage. I see a sprinkling of Toastmasters in my midst, and they know where I've come from and what obstacles we've all overcome to have the courage to be up on the stage. Here's your challenging questions. What is your vision? What is that dream that you want to have, do, be, or become? Nobody else is looking at your notes. It can be something massive, monstrous, and scares the bejeebers out of you. It could be something little as stepping up on a ladder if you're afraid of heights. What is your vision? What are you starting, or what are you strongly finishing? Write it down. There's an old phrase that says, when it's written, it's true. There's a psychological connection to the pen, the mind, and what you're writing, and it goes to the heart. Greg Laurie said, God is more interested in character than charisma. Start building your character and courage today and watch the fruit of your life grow in abundance. Now, I never thought of myself as courageous, and I certainly was not confident inside. I had a lack of self-confidence and self-esteem. The next key is action, taking action. Benjamin Franklin described it best with his virtue industry. Lose no time, be always employed in something useful, cut off all unnecessary actions. I took some actions in high school and into college that I should have cut off. My dream in high school was to graduate, go on to gain a degree, whatever that looked like, and go on into the corporate world, gain that job, climb the corporate ladder. I had no need of getting married, having kids. I was focused on that dream job. Well, I had, and I still have to this day, 3/4 fun and 1/4 focus. Anybody have a lot of fun in their life and forget to focus? Well, I did that in my first semester of college. I went into college with a boyfriend, but lacking that self-esteem, and had a lot of fun, and my grades showed it. Going into that semester with that lack of self-esteem, that relationship failed, and then I started to deteriorate. I couldn't face the fact of being single now. So I took that fun focus. I didn't grow the fun. I didn't grow the focus part. I just grew the fun part. And I started chasing that fun in the way of drinking, partying, and chasing boys. I was that type of person when I would go shopping. I would hear children in the next aisle. They would be screaming, hollering, whatever they do, and I would be the person that would say, "Shut your kid up!" That was me. Well, after doing the drinking, partying, and everything, I discovered in the second semester that I was pregnant. Me, the one who didn't want to have children, was pregnant. I had applied for and gotten a position out in Boston, so I got to ignore my issues that I was dealing with. And my position that I went out to in Boston was a nanny. 2 little girls I got to watch all summer long. It was the best summer, got to play, didn't have to deal with anything because I was in denial. That monthly system that didn't come, I just went, oh, it's a medical fluke. Well, by the end of the summer, I had to come back to school and face my reality. August went by quickly because we start school in the middle of August in the Dakotas, right? September went by, and I had to face the fact that I was going to have a baby. It would have been so easy to have an abortion in Boston. Quick, simple, take care of it, nobody would have known. I would have known. And that was something that it wasn't right in my mind to do that. I came home and decided adoption. What was that all about? Well, I flipped open the yellow pages. Oh, sorry, for those of you under 30, yellow pages is what Google is now. I flipped open the yellow pages, found an adoption agency, met with a counselor, went through all the options, what was in front of me, and she said, "Have you told your family yet?" Whew. I had to tell my mom, my dad, my younger brother and sister, that their perfect eldest child and their perfectly older sister had screwed up, made a mistake, and was forced into adulting from her adultering. Thank you, Carl, for that introduction. I'll never forget the conversation. I went home to the farm and said, "Guys, I got to tell you something. I'm pregnant." My dad wanted to kill the boy, but he calmed down after a bit. Sister and brother were in a little shock. Mom offered to raise the baby, and I said, "No, that's not fair for me or for you or the baby. I'm choosing adoption." So we walked through those ideas, talked about it at the kitchen table. They walked through the remainder of the 6 month of pregnancy with me. No, not even 6. I think we had 3 months left. And Mom was in the delivery room with me. It was hard. And when we were done, I had a girl. And on the second day of being in the hospital, we got to hold her, dress her, and name her. And then we said goodbye until we both grew up. I look forward to meeting her someday. She's 28 now. And I wish I could tell you that I made a 180 and made better choices and continued to create great character and great habits. But I had a couple of years of, in addition, low self-esteem, but also now I've got this baggage of guilt. Not really regret and remorse, but it's like divorcing something. So I drug that in. I thought a change of scenery might be better, so I moved to western South Dakota. No offense, eastern South Dakota, those of you listening. My sister lived over there, so I got to go visit once in a while. But I moved here, and I met my husband, and like Carl said, we've been married 22 years. And then we decided to have children. Yes, me, who didn't want to have children. And then we homeschooled them their whole lives. So in addition to not wanting to have children, I was suddenly forced into being there with them 24/7. But that was my choice because I knew I wanted to develop character in them. What changed? I decided to renew my mind. I decided to put action into my character development. It didn't happen overnight. Mind you, this was 22 years ago. Paul said to the Romans, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And he also wrote to the Ephesians, "Put off the old self. Be made new in the attitude of your mind." It was daily work. Changing the things that I was feeding my mind, feeding it with positive, uplifting words and music, feeding it with transformational speakers. I'm hoping I'm doing that with you today. I also listened to messages on CD, and I'm aging myself here, cassette. But if you need a list of transformational speakers or music to listen to, go to deannabeckett.com and you'll find a list of suggestions. Then I also started speaking great words to myself. So like Benjamin Franklin said, speak accordingly. What we speak out comes back into our minds. We talk to ourselves anyway, don't you? We've all talked to ourselves this morning. I talk to myself all the time. I talk worse to my computer, but you know, all is good. We've got to affirm to get our confidence. Hanel said, "If you require love, realize the only way to get love is by giving it. The more you give, the more you will get. The only way to give it is to fill yourself with it until you become a magnet." So if we fill our minds with those, speaking of negativity, how many of you have said, "Oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh, I'm so stupid." Those kinds of negative things keep dragging us down. I met a gal a couple of weeks ago, and she said I could tell her story. My dates might be off with her story. But just what we speak about, we bring about. She had a dream of owning an Airstream. You know, one of those silver campers, the pull-behinds? And I can't remember how long ago she was married, but her husband was going, "No, you don't need an Airstream." But she had a dream of having a vintage Airstream. And then she had her dream built, and she wanted to have a few of them, renovate them, and then rent them out. But she wanted to start with one. And every time they would be driving down the road, she'd see an Airstream, and she'd go, "Airstream, Airstream, Airstream." They would drive by some that were parked in their neighbors' lots, and she'd see one and go, "Airstream, Airstream, Airstream." And they'd be driving and maybe going through campgrounds or camping, and she'd go, "Airstream, Airstream, Airstream." Well, a few years after, her husband finally gave in and said, "Okay, let's go take a look at a couple." There was a couple that came available during their marriage. And she was able to accumulate 2 vintage Airstreams. Her husband died about a year and a half ago, and there was an offer to be able to, somebody else to purchase them, and she held on to that dream. She kept her Airstreams, even probably through financial struggles. And just recently, she acquired a Bambi. I'm not an Airstream follower, but I guess it's a mini Airstream. And she's got 3 Airstreams. She recently moved, or is moving, her fleet from Sioux Falls to Rapid City. And she looked, they stopped at one of the rest areas, and she took a picture, and she has Airstream, Airstream, Airstream. What she spoke about probably for dozens of years came to fruition. It just gives me goosebumps. What she spoke about, she bring about. We're going to practice an affirmation. I want you to stand up because we need a little stretch time. Everybody stand up. Those of you in PMS, Pierre Martin, Sioux Falls land, stand up too. It's okay if you look goofy. We're going to affirm 7 simple words. I think it's 7. But I want you to give yourself a power stance. Gentlemen, you are Superman. No, you could be Spider-Man. Ladies, who are we? Wonder Woman. Yeah. All you have to do is add I am to the last sentence that's on the board there. I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Do it again. I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. How do you feel? Powerful, yes. It's because this stance gives you more breath, and those words are psychologically connected to a lot of areas in our life. All right, have a chair. Just like action steps encourage, we need to take action to transform. What podcast, YouTube, I'm speaking to the younger generation here, newsfeed, media, television, radio, what of those media forms do you need to ditch to transform your mind? And what of those media forms can you choose to add to your habits to transform you and renew your mind to create wisdom? There's something hanging out there. You go, oh, I listened to something today and I don't want to listen to that again. Write it down and put a big scratch through it, just one big scratch, because you'll know to go back and go, I'm not going to listen to that again. It doesn't feed me positively. And then, where can you add affirmations daily? I have a little affirmation card on the back. It's not these 7 words, so if you want to take a snapshot of that, you've got a little time. Before my last point, I want to encourage you, if you have a need or a person that would love to have some mentoring, some coaching in these specific areas, I do offer that, and I would love to offer everyone a 30 to 60-minute complimentary time to visit, whether it's by phone or in person, depending on if it's geographically possible. And then also, if you are someone that is in charge of or knows of organizations, associations, businesses, churches that are in need of a speaker, let me know. Let's visit at my table afterwards. And those of you listening remotely, DeannaBeckett.com, get a hold of me. And also, as a gift for you for being here, I've got all 13 virtues typed up on a neat little card. I've also got the affirmation cards at my table. And we are going for a South Dakota first, maybe. Our goal is to launch the ebook of Cultivating Your Character November 1st through the 8th, and we're going to try to, see, there's my limited thinking again, limited speaking. We are going for Amazon bestseller. If you want to help, sign up on my email list so that we can get you the blast and you can forward that to over 1,000 friends. And then, of course, the book is available. I've got a special, and you can get it online as well. When there's too much action and noise in our lives, we lose peace very quickly. So the third key is choosing peace. Everything I've covered is a choice. Benjamin Franklin's virtue, tranquility, defines it perfectly. Be not disturbed at trifles or at accidents common or unavoidable. Or in other words, simply put, don't get your panties in a bunch. Basically. Now, I add this slide in here not to kill you by PowerPoint because I hate a lot of words on a slide, but notice the colors. Stress and noise causes high blood pressure, depression, anxiety, cardiovascular disease, and did you catch that third line? Long-term brain damage. Remember I said at the beginning we were going to cover Age doesn't cause that memory loss. It's stress. The more we have going on, the less we remember. Aren't you in agreement? We are in the bug infestation season. How many of you have fruit flies buzzing around your house? I see a lot of. But it is the time of this year when the bugs start moving inward. And you probably have a window like this in your home or have had in the past. The common housefly will spend hours and hours buzzing from each little corner to each little pane all the way up and cover all 12 panes of a window. Beating and bustling and busting his head, trying to find a way to get out. If I haven't smacked him dead yet, I may take sympathy on the little creature and open the sash and try to scoop him out the window. Have you ever tried that with some bugs? Wasps are that way. Normally wasps get a fly swatter though. But they continue buzzing and buzzing, and they can do this all day long. And it isn't until out of sheer exhaustion that that fly will sit on that sill, rest, look out, and find the answer, and escape. And isn't that true of humans? We spend a lot of our time running, busy, rushing. Have you ever been 10 minutes late in the morning, get up and running around, you're missing breakfast, and now you can't find your keys? Can't find them. You haven't left them in the car's ignition, but you can't find them. And you're buzzing around and you're trying to figure out who stole them, who took them. And it isn't until you sit, be quiet and still, and they're in a bag, or they're even across the counter, sitting where they probably should have been. Stress causes a lot of those anxieties, but here's what silence improves memory, stimulates brain growth, and relieves stress. In today's busy society, we can get so caught up in the noise and the stress. When's the last time you took time to be silent and still? We're going to practice a little bit of silence. So you can put your pens down, you can put your hands in your lap, and I want you to sit up still and straight in your chair. Most of us breathe from up here, and it's shallow breathing. I want you to put one hand on your belly button. We're going to practice some deep breathing. You're welcome to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. I'm not going to take you into some realm or anything like that. I want you to practice that deep breathing. Your hand should go out when you breathe in. So I want you to breathe in. Feel that belly button go out. Push that breath out. Breathe in and out. You can go at your own pace. Breathe in. Belly button goes out. Breathe out. Belly button goes in. Keep breathing a few more times. Well, keep breathing. Don't ever stop breathing. And I want you to think of that dream that we talked about in courage. What do you want to have, do, be, or become? You might have 3 or 5 or 10 dreams floating around in your head, but I want you to think of that one dream, that one vision that you want to have, do, be, or become. Keep breathing. Now I want you to see your dream. Does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Maybe it's the shape of a car or a house. Does your dream have a sound? What can you hear with your dream? My dream has the sound of applause. What does your dream have the sound of? Maybe it's the sound of waves lapping at the shore. Touch your dream. Can you touch it? Can you feel it? Is it opening that brand new car door, that house door? Maybe it's holding that newborn baby or grandchild. Is there a taste with your dream? Are you celebrating? Are you cooking something? And you can taste that watermelon or taste the salty air on your lips. What does your dream taste like? And last, what smells come from your dream? Are you celebrating doing a barbecue? Is there that cooked meat on the barbecue? Is it the smell of the ocean air? Is it the smell of that newborn bathed baby? Keep breathing. Now open your eyes, if you've had your eyes shut. What do you feel? Any feedback? What's that? Calm. Strong. Imagine if you spent 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night doing this exercise. We just did 90 seconds, 120 seconds. That calmness will come into your life. And you're telling me, Deanna, I don't have 10 minutes morning and night. Do you? Do you want to face those stress facts? Or do you want to bring more calmness and silence into your life? Here's your challenge. I want you to schedule your peace, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, and message me when you're doing it and what kind of results you're getting. And then I want you to add an hour a week. Yes, 1 hour a week to be quiet and still by yourself. It can be walking wherever you walk. It doesn't have to be locked up in the bathroom. And then add a day, a month. And it doesn't have to be the entire 24-hour day, although I want to encourage you to do it. Imagine the peace that you'll bring to your life and the people that you influence. That's exciting to me. Unrest sometimes comes from worrying about what others think of you. That's not our business. 10% of the people will not like you. 10% of the people listening today will not like me. That's okay. That's not our business. We've got to let it go and focus on that 90%. That will take a lot of stress out of our lives right there. So adulting will be challenging, but it's going to be smoother and peaceful. Here's your last 3 words to affirm. Peaceful, praise-filled, passionate. I am peaceful, praise-filled, passionate. Now tell me like you mean it. I am peaceful, praise-filled, passionate. So our 3 keys to remember are building courage, because we want to focus on that dream. We also want to get the junk out by taking action and put the good in. We want to lower our stress with peace. So what will you do? And why will you do it? What changes are you going to make to build your courage, action, and peace in your life? And what mentors are you going to manage better? Let wisdom come with your age. You get to see one of my Jack Sparrow ones this time. Cultivate your character. Start today. I want you to enjoy all of the vendors here at Aging Gracefully Expo. Visit them all. They've got more wisdom beyond my imagination. Stop at my table for your free gifts. And, of course, I'll be signing books. Have a blessed day. Thank you for having me.